Man, how much more does it need? Come on. It's gotta be getting, oh shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. A while back, I did a Synchromax transmission fluid change on my white 330 race car, and I talked about in that video that maybe I want to do another test side by side with the kart car. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'd like to move this car out, bring this one down, and then I would like to drive it and then replace the transmission fluid and then drive it again so I can actually get like a side-by-side comparison. Now the main reason I want to do a drive before we do the transmission fluid change is you're actually supposed to warm everything up, get all the engine going and everything like that, so the transmission fluid is warm. That way it flows out easier and you're not going to be fighting it at all. I did the one cold on this guy and I don't think that it really mattered that much, but I want to do it properly this time and make sure that we can get a side-by-side comparison and not have to worry about any variables. So I bought 2 more quarts. I haven't done any research. I would say that this probably takes 1.1 or 1.2 quarts, the same as my 3 Series. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. Let's move these cars around and get the E36 out on the road. We're just cruising around the neighborhood. We're not going to do anything too crazy. I'm just trying to make sure that the car is all up to temperature and everything. Downshifts are pretty good. It's really crunchy when you go to slide it into the gear. So you pull it out of the one you're in neutral, and as you go to push it into the next one, it's kind of gritty right at that point, which is where I think it's going to be notchy. If it's notchy in any position, that's where you're going to feel it, is right when you start to slide it into the next gear. So we're in third right now. I'm going to downshift to second. I pull it out of third, real smooth out of third. You go to put it into second. It's just crunchy, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. It's very hard to just do 25. This car really wants to go fast. Like that. I think there's definitely room for improvement. I'm excited to get this new fluid in there and see how it feels. I find myself not shifting very much through the neighborhood. Second gear, you can just stop and start in second gear, and since you're only doing 25 miles an hour, second gear is plenty fast. All right, so the car is up to temperature. We're just down the street from the house. We'll get this home, put it back on the lift, and get the oil change started. So we're back up on the lift. Everything is really hot. This goes without saying. Be really careful when you're doing this. So we've got our drain plug here and our fill plug here. So what we're gonna wanna do is take out the fill plug and the drain plug. That allows air to come in. That way we don't cause like a vacuum system in here where we're not getting all the oil out. So I'm gonna take out this one first. And as soon as you take this one out, you just wanna be prepared because you never know if there's gonna be oil coming out of this, and it is gonna be kind of warm. So we'll wanna take out this one and that one, and we're gonna want a bucket here for both plug removals. So it's a 17 millimeter. Let's get started. You're also gonna wanna wipe around the plug so you don't get any dirt in the transmission. All right, so I'm gonna sit here and let it drip for a little bit longer, but I just wanna point out how dirty this is. Now the bottom of the bucket did have some dirt in it, but it didn't have enough to make it black like that. So this is pretty dark oil. I don't think this is original like my E46. My E46 was really bad. This looks bad, but doesn't smell as burnt as the other car did. So I think this was a little bit better oil, but nevertheless it is dirty, so we're getting it out of here. We'll be replacing it. So I did run a little bit of royal purple through here to make sure we kind of flush it out. So at this point, it's basically just the reverse process. We're just gonna put this plug back in. And then once this plug is in all the way and tight, we're gonna then fill it up until it starts to leak out of here. Once it starts to leak out of here, just barely, I'll stop filling it, let it stop leaking. Then I'll put this plug back in. We'll make sure they're both torqued, and then we'll be back on the road. So the filling process is a little bit more difficult on a car where the transmission is still in it. So what I did was I stole my little rubber hose that I got from my brake bleed kit. I'm going to then slide it onto the top of the bottle. I'll tilt it like this, squeeze it, and then make sure this gets filled up all the way. Man, how much more does it need? Come on. It's gotta be getting, oh, all right, well, I managed to do that without getting oil all over me. I got it on the camera a little bit and on the floor, but everything is all filled up, torqued down, and now we're ready to take the car out and see how much better it shifts. Wow, all right, well, I'll be honest, I thought it was gonna take a little bit of driving around, but I can tell immediately that it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm actually very surprised. It's smoother. It's not easier, it's just smoother, and that's hard to explain. You'd think that easy and smooth would go hand in hand, but I don't know how to explain the difference between the two. It's just as easy to put it into gear, but it feels so much better. It feels so much more smooth. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. It wasn't bad to begin with. And like we discovered after pulling the oil out, that it wasn't that old. So it wasn't like we're pulling out oil from 1997, but it's so much better. It's hard to explain. The more and more I think about it, I'm pretty sure the oil that we pulled out of my race car was from 2001. And based on the oil we saw out of this, there's no way it was from 97. There's just no way. And with this car having like another 40,000 miles more than my race car's got on it, I just don't see if there was any way that was original. It was just a little bit too clean. Now, if I had to guess, I would probably say that oil's probably been in here for around 10 years or so, maybe a little bit less, so it wasn't terrible, but this new stuff is just so much better. It really is hard to convey what I'm feeling through the shifter here, and I don't want to stop driving. It's so much more enjoyable to drive. We'll do a first gear downshift. All right, so I'm enjoying my little drive back to the house, and once we get back there, I'll give my final thoughts and opinions on the Royal Purple Synchromax now that I'm able to test it side by side with the car that didn't have it to now the car that does have it. All right, well, we're back. I could not be happier with the way that this thing shifts now. It was really surprising. I thought I was gonna have to drive around and shift a whole bunch to kind of get the fluid, mixed in there and everything like that, but it was immediate. It was like, as soon as I went from reverse out of here, I went first gear, second gear, and it was instant. You could feel it immediately. And it was like right before it slipped into the gear, instead of being kind of almost crunchy feeling, it just went and just slipped right into each gear. I love the way the shifter feels and handles. That makes 2 for 2, so I enjoy it in this car and my other car. If you're looking at doing a manual transmission fluid change, I would highly recommend looking to see if Royal Purple has one for your car. Again, the Synchromax worked for this car and the other car. Just a standard Synchromax is all that this car and my other 3 series is called for, and they've been working out fantastic so far. Probably the biggest pain about this was trying to fill up that transmission, since the fill plug is right next to the there's like firewall like right here, so it's difficult to get anything in there. And I had to use that clear tube, just squeeze the transmission fluid in there versus having a different way to fill it. And I know there's other ways to fill those. Preferably you would find a way to run a hose from the top to the bottom or something like that. If you have your transmission out of your car, just do it then. Like, I know you're supposed to warm it up and all that, but you can probably get 99% of the oil out of there having the transmission out and being able to roll it back and forth and being able to change the angle of the transmission while it's out of the car, getting all the oil and all the stuff out of there. And then you can actually, fill it up and flush it and, rinse it around again and run that oil back out before filling it up the next go around. It was way, way easier to do the transmission that was out of the car. I think the biggest downside to doing that was it was difficult to get the drain bolts undone because they're actually torqued quite a bit, and so when you're pulling on a transmission that's just sitting there by itself, I had to have somebody come over and hold it while I cranked on it. So that's probably the only downside to doing it while the transmission's out of the car, and in the car is probably filling it. But in and out, you can probably be done in something like this, 15-20 minutes if you've got a lift. If you got to get underneath the car, it might be just a little bit more. So thanks everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's content, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. If you have any comments or questions on today's content, leave them in the comment section below. I do my best to reply to everybody and answer all the questions that I can. If the question is too complicated, oftentimes I will make a video answering that specific question. Also, make sure to check out my Patreon link that is in the description below. My Patreon members enjoy ad-free pre-releases of my videos, so they get to see them a lot sooner. That starts at $1 a month. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.